A vinyl record spins. The needle drops. A familiar rhythm starts. The thumping bass, the shimmering tambourine, the polished groove that defined an era. It is the unmistakable sound of Motown. Motown was a black-owned music empire that reshaped American culture. It launched artists like the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, the Jackson 5, and the Temptations. Together, these artists sold hundreds of millions of records and created more than 110 top 10 hits in a single decade. At its peak, Motown wasn't just a successful label. It was the heartbeat of American music. It powered the soundtrack of the 1960s and set the blueprint for modern pop production. And behind it all was one man, Berry Gordy. With an $800 loan and a simple house in Detroit, he engineered one of the most successful black-owned companies in history. This is the story of how Motown became the hit factory that changed music forever. Welcome to Black Business Files. Let's begin. In the 1950s, Detroit was one of the fastest-growing cities in America. The auto industry was booming. Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler were expanding rapidly and hiring black workers in large numbers. This created a strong black middle class with steady incomes and new opportunities. Alongside the economic growth came a vibrant music culture. Churches, nightclubs, community centers, and basement gatherings were filled with gospel, jazz, blues, and early soul. Detroit was alive with sound and ambition, but the city was also deeply segregated. Black artists had few paths to mainstream radio or retail distribution. Even when their talent matched or exceeded white performers, the industry placed them in race music categories. Detroit became the perfect environment for a revolution. It had creativity, discipline, economic hope, and a desire for ownership. These forces set the stage for Motown. Before Berry Gordy became a music mogul, he tried several careers. He attempted boxing, ran a record store that failed, and eventually worked on the assembly line at Ford Motor Company. That factory job changed everything. Gordy watched cars being built step by step. The assembly line was consistent, efficient, and predictable. He learned that great products come from great systems. While writing songs for Jackie Wilson, Gordy also learned the business side of the industry. He saw how little control black artists had over their work, and how rarely they received fair compensation. The talent was there, but the ownership was not. Gordy believed he could do better. He believed black artists deserved a label that understood them, protected them, and helped them reach mainstream audiences. This idea became the foundation of Motown. In 1959, Gordy borrowed $800 from his family's cooperative savings fund. With that money, he purchased a small house at 2648 West Grand Boulevard in Detroit. On the front window, he placed a simple sign, Hitsville USA. Inside, the garage became Studio A. The living room became an office. The house became a creative hub. Artists like Smokey Robinson, Mary Wells, and Mabel John became some of his earliest signings. Gordy's approach was clear from day one. He didn't want to wait for hits. He wanted to build them. That small house soon became one of the most famous places in music history. Motown was designed with intention. Gordy took the assembly line logic from Ford and applied it directly to music production. He organized the creative process into a repeatable system: songwriting, production, artist development, quality control, release. Different teams handled different stages. Holland Dozier Holland, Smokey Robinson, and Ashford and Simpson became some of the most consistent hit-writing teams in the industry. Every Friday morning, Gordy held quality control meetings. The rule was simple: if a song couldn't compete with the #1 record on the charts, it wouldn't be released. This discipline created Motown's extraordinary hit ratio. The early 1960s had racial barriers that limited black artists' access to mainstream markets. Many white-owned record stores refused to stock albums that featured black artists' faces on the covers. Gordy responded strategically. He used neutral album art. Motown covers often featured typography, illustrations, or abstract designs instead of artist photos. This allowed the records to be placed in the pop sections of stores instead of the segregated race music bins. Listeners fell in love with the music first. The crossover success came naturally. This approach helped Motown reach national audiences and dominate mainstream radio. Motown believed in developing artists from the ground up. To achieve this, Gordy created a full training system known as Motown University. Led by Maxine Powell, The program taught artists how to speak, walk, dress, interview, and behave in public. Performers learned stage presence, camera awareness, choreography, and etiquette. The Temptations perfected their famous polished movements. Diana Ross and the Supremes adopted a glamorous stage persona. Every artist carried themselves like a star. Motown turned raw talent into world-class performers. Behind every hit song were the Funk Brothers, Motown's house band. They played on more #1 records than the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Elvis combined. These musicians created the driving rhythms and distinctive sound that defined Motown. They worked long hours in Studio A, often recording multiple songs in a single day. Their pay was modest, usually $10 to $15 an hour, but their impact was enormous. They were the heartbeat of the Motown sound. If you're enjoying this story, remember to like the video, subscribe, and share it with others who appreciate music history and Black entrepreneurship. Supporting the channel allows Black Business Files to continue highlighting the legacies that shaped our world. Now let's continue. Motown entered its most successful period during the 1960s. In that decade, the label achieved more than 110 top 10 hits and over 180 Billboard charting songs. Revenue increased rapidly. 1961, more than $1 million 1966, more than $20 million 1967 to 1968, $30 to $40 million per year, equivalent to almost $300 million today. Motown became the largest Black-owned corporation in the country. This period produced iconic records from the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, the Temptations, and the Jackson 5. Motown's sound and influence were unmatched. Motown's success was built on extraordinary talent. The Supremes. The Supremes sold more than 100 million records. With 12 #1 hits, they became one of the most successful American groups of the decade. Diana Ross emerged as the label's first international superstar. Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder began as a child prodigy and grew into a creative visionary. He sold more than 100 million records and introduced new sounds through synthesizers and innovative production. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye sold more than 25 million albums and released What's Going On, which became one of the most important musical statements of all time. He pushed Motown towards socially conscious music. The Jackson 5. The Jackson 5 sold more than 30 million records during their Motown years. Their first 4 singles all reached #1. The group introduced the world to Michael Jackson, the Temptations. With their polished choreography and powerful vocals, the Temptations became symbols of style and excellence. They sold more than 14 million certified albums. Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson was one of Motown's most valuable creative forces. He wrote and produced dozens of hits and shaped the label's early sound. These artists helped shape an era and solidified Motown as a global cultural force. The civil rights movement shaped the 1960s. The country was experiencing protests, marches, and major political change. Motown found itself in a sensitive position. Berry Gordy wanted to support the movement, but also needed to maintain access to mainstream radio. Too much political messaging could damage the label's commercial success. Publicly, Motown remained neutral to avoid alienating stations and distributors. Privately, Motown artists performed at civil rights events, donated to organizations, and used their voices to support the cause. One of the biggest turning points came with Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Gordy initially rejected the song for being too political, but Gaye insisted. The album became a masterpiece and proved that social commentary had a place in Motown's catalog. As Motown grew, the demands and expectations of its artists changed. Many performers wanted more creative freedom and better royalty deals. Holland Dozier Holland, the writing team behind many of Motown's biggest hits, left the label after a dispute over royalties. Their departure exposed the tension between Motown's structured system and the creative aspirations of its artists. Other performers, such as Martha Reeves, Gladys Knight, and members of the Temptations, also pushed for changes. The assembly line model that had produced so many hits was now being challenged by artists who wanted artistic growth. Motown was evolving, and the transition was not easy. In 1972, Berry Gordy made a major decision. He moved Motown from Detroit to Los Angeles. Gordy wanted to expand into film and television and saw Hollywood as the best place for the next phase of the company. However, the move came at a cost. Many key staff members and musicians did not want to leave Detroit. The Funk Brothers fractured, and the original Studio A went silent. The creative chemistry that made Motown special became difficult to maintain. Los Angeles brought new opportunities, but Detroit had provided the foundation. In Hollywood, Motown experienced both success and hardship. The film Lady Sings the Blues earned more than $24 million and became a breakthrough for Diana Ross. Mahogany was also a commercial success. However, not every project performed well. The Wiz had a $24 million budget but earned only $13 million. The financial losses were significant. Film production was expensive, and it stretched Motown's resources. By the late 1970s, music trends were shifting quickly. Disco, funk, and other genres were reshaping the industry. Motown struggled to maintain the same level of dominance. After decades of hard work, Berry Gordy decided it was time to move on. In 1988, he sold Motown for $61 million. Several years later, in 1993, the label was sold again for $325 million. Motown's publishing catalog is now considered to be worth between $200 million and $300 million. Gordy turned an $800 loan into a groundbreaking empire. His legacy as one of America's most influential Black entrepreneurs remains intact. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure you subscribe and stay connected with Black Business Files, where we highlight the stories of the entrepreneurs and empires that changed history. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired.